Hello my fantastic friends, welcome back in my channel. This is gonna be a very special video because it's a video about the Erasmus project. I participated myself to the project many years ago when it was just Erasmus, because nowadays the program has changed a lot and it's called Erasmus Plus. And it's an European program to support education, training and also sport. It involves different categories and different ages, so not only students but also for example teachers who want to experiment a period of time training in a school abroad, for example. If you want to participate to Erasmus Plus and you want more information, you will find a link down here in the description box with all the detailed information about it. To celebrate the program, I decided to create a Draw My Erasmus experience. I have been to Scotland back then and it was an amazing experience that actually really changed my life. So I hope you will find this video useful but also pleasant. So I hope you like it. This is me at 24. Young, cute, irresponsible. I used to smoke.
I know it's wrong, please don't do it.
But this is not about me at 24, and actually it's better not to talk about that. So let's get started with my departure from Italy to Scotland. And I remember I was literally buried with suitcases and other stuff. I also had to pay extra money for that because my suitcases were too heavy. That wasn't my first time traveling with airplanes, but still I wasn't that smart back then because they had to call me because I was wasting time at a bar and I was missing my flight. I remember this endless trip from Glasgow to Aberdeen, and I remember I arrived at Aberdeen that was already like the middle of the night. And I don't remember how, but I did manage to call a taxi. And then this guy came who was like the stereotype of the typical Scottish old man. And he was quite funny actually, because he was making these funny jokes about Italians, like they drive on the wrong side of the street. Even though it was the middle of the night, the university campus was super alive with a lot of people. And I remember I adored the situation. They gave me the keys for my flat. It was number 99, and when I opened that door for the first time, this is what I saw. Basically, it was a corridor with a lot of doors. There were a couple of doors at the end of it, which were the toilets, separated from the showers, which was kind of weird, never saw that before. Then there was a kitchen, and then the bedrooms. Now I'll try to introduce you my amazing flatmates. They were four: a girl from Portugal named Tanya, and three girls from Ireland: Jen, Stephanie and Guinevere. And I remember this kind of funny and embarrassing moment with Guinevere because I couldn't understand her name because I never heard it. Because, you know, Guinevere, it doesn't exist in my language, so it was weird. And she was saying like, Guinevere, Guinevere, Guinevere. And I was like, what? Sorry, what? What? I don't understand. And when I understood it, finally, it was like, duh. I loved them so much, I decided to dedicate a character design with watercolors. You will find it here in my channel really soon. To reach the university campus, you had to cross this super beautiful park with a lot of flowers and trees and even a river, and it was called Seaton Park. The campus was called Hillhead, and it had a main building with a lot of rooms with the computers and also a bar with a little tiny discotheque. And then there was a supermarket for the students, and then the buildings and a lot of little streets. It was like a tiny city for students. And during the sunny days, all these cute little bunnies would come out and, eat the grass, and it looked like Teletubbyland. Hillhead animals were weird actually, because on one side you had these cute little bunnies, and on the other side you had the evil seagulls. You can actually find memes about Aberdeen seagulls in the internet, because they are like quite of an attraction of the city. They are super huge and super evil. Let's get back to the flat, and the kitchen was actually the main room we used to live in, because it was actually the only room. The others were the toilets and the bedrooms. And we used to do pretty much everything in the kitchen. So, for example, one good thing about having Irish flatmates was the tea time, because we didn't have that ritual here in Italy where I live. We used to have tea with biscuits and little treats and, cakes and stuff, chit-chat a lot. It was a very relaxing time, because, students have to relax. And then one day something new happened. Tanya, the Portuguese girl, came back home. So she was substituted by another girl who was Italian as well, and her name was Dani. She was the funniest person ever. We had a lot of fun together, and we did a lot of crazy things like rhubarb fighting, for example. If you're not familiar with rhubarb fighting, it's actually taking a rhubarb and fight with that as it was a sword. When I was there, I had great but weird food, and I say weird because we don't have that here in Italy, but it was great. We used to have scones with butter and jam. We had custard and rhubarb. We had the shortbreads, which are typical of Scotland, and I adored them. Then the Irish girls used to make sandwiches pretty much with everything, like butter and banana slices or butter and chips, which was weird for me. And I also tried two of the most typical Scottish foods, like haggis and a beverage which is called Iron Brew. And it's so weird, I cannot even describe it. And as a student with no money at all, I used to have these fries with cheese and curry sauce. It was delicious. But of course, I wasn't there just for having fun, but mainly for studying. And I did study pretty much, actually. I had a lot of exams and I attended a lot of classes. That was my first time as a student abroad, and one of the most difficult times I had, it was understanding pronunciations and accents and expressions. Like this professor who used to say, "see you later," instead of like, "see you next time." And of course, the teaching method and approach, for example, the lectures, which is something that we don't have in our system in Italy. And they are quite interesting, but also difficult, because you have to discuss together with the class and give your personal opinion, which is, of course, in a different language, it's not simple. Some professors, like that one, cannot understand how difficult it can be for a student that comes from a different country to not only to understand all the different accents, but also to talk in front of a class in another language. Sometimes they give it for granted, and it's not. But I also had professors who understood this perfectly, because they have troubled themselves, so they could understand how difficult it is to speak a different language and to meet a different culture. But you know, guys, the best part of Erasmus Plus is the human side of it. You could bond with a lot of different people, and the relationships were so intense, and I don't know, everything was super amplified. In my personal experience, I was living with those people pretty much 24 hours a day. So at the end of it, we were like brothers and sisters. And then there were the super special friendships, those that will never end. With my drawings, I tried to catch the essence of these people, and I hope I could, just a tiny bit. Of course, I'd like to talk about them much more, but one video wouldn't be enough. I bring every single one of them in my heart forever. And now, one of the most frequently asked questions. Can a long-term relationship survive to an experience like the Erasmus Plus? And I can say yes, because in my own personal experience it did. I fell in love desperately before I left Italy. And not only the relationship survived, but we got married, so yeah. I think that one of the most interesting things about Erasmus Plus experience is the multicultural side of it. We used to meet in each other's flats to have dinner parties, and there were people literally from all over the world. Everyone would bring a piece of their culture and share it with the others and have fun all together. During the Erasmus Plus project, you can have a lot of different experience. For example, we have traveled a lot all around Scotland. I remember a particularly funny trip to the Orkney Island. We took the ferry and there was a storm, so we spent 8 hours like constantly sick with nausea. And when we actually got there, there was so much wind and so much rain that you couldn't even like keep your umbrella open, and yeah, that was a very funny trip actually. But every single experience during the Erasmus Plus will be nice and funny, even the worst. I'd like to talk about Scotland much more than this, because that's an amazing country with amazing landscapes and history. If you've never been there, you cannot even imagine the colors of Scotland, the greens and greys and the landscapes, and you know, it's absolutely gorgeous. I actually had to think so much about Scotland lately to make this video that I have done a lot of art about Scotland, a lot of watercolors, and you will find the tutorials right here in my channel pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. But at the end of everything, what Erasmus Plus really gives you is people, places visited with people, things done with people, people's faces, people smiling. I will always remember them. I will bring every single one of them in my heart forever. For me, Erasmus Plus was such an amazing experience that I have to suggest you to try it. It's totally worth it. So guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked the idea of me drawing something about my life. Of course, you will find also the watercolor tutorials here in my channel really soon, so stay tuned and let me know what you thought about the video, about the Erasmus Plus, if you participated or if you want to participate. Just let me know with some comments down here. I'll be glad to read every one of them and to answer, of course. and I will see you in my next video. Mwah! Bye! Ciao!